Okay, friends. Now on this one, this is gonna rock some worlds. About 7, 8 years ago, I don't know, the Lord showed me something in the Word that kind of rocked my world, and it made me realize that our God is at the head of the enemy army. Anyway, I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to paraphrase what happened where I saw it. And then since then, it's everywhere. And I don't know how we missed this one because everybody's like, oh, Satan this and oh, Satan that. And I'm like, oh, Satan isn't anything. He's just not the one. It's our God. And for me, what happened was, because now I know that the Lord of Heaven's armies, both armies, the ones that are for us and the ones that are against us, the Lord of Heaven's armies is on my side. And this is what he says in Psalm 91. He says, he who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. And I'll say of the Lord, he's my refuge, my fortress, my God, in him will I trust. And I will not be afraid of the arrow that flies by day or the pestilence I'm not going to be afraid of anything because it's not going to come near me. Only with my eyes will I see the reward of the wicked. Okay, so here's what happened for me is that once I found out that my God was at the head of the enemy army, that he's the one that is in control of it all. And what he did was he set in motion just consequences. Okay, and then these spirits are the ones that carry out the consequences. And sometimes they inflict far more harm than he ever intended. Sometimes they do, but we open the door for it, okay? So I want you to hear where I first came from to this. And then we'll go back and go read Leviticus 26 again, read Deuteronomy 28. Go see who's doing all this. He said, will disaster come upon the city and the Lord not have done it? I created the blacksmith who fans the flames, who forges the weapons against you, but no weapon formed against you will prosper, and every tongue that rises against you will fall, because this is your vindication. So what happens is that the Lord is in control. He's in control of it all. It looks like it's all out of whack, but it is not out of whack. I promise it is not. Okay, so the very first time that I saw this, that the Lord was at the head of the enemy army, I'm going to paraphrase it. In Joel 2, it goes in and it says that here's this army and it marches forth like it doesn't break rank. It dodges every weapon. It crawls over every wall, into every window, into every house. And it's the Garden of Eden in front of it and the desolate wasteland behind. And the people writhe in pain. And I'm sitting here going, sweet Lord, it's already happened. Probably with the internet and I don't know, just a lot of things that have entered in that shouldn't happen. But I'm going to read it to you, okay? Sound the trumpet in Jerusalem. Raise the alarm on my holy mountain. Let everyone tremble in fear, because the day of the Lord is upon us. It is a day of darkness and gloom, a day of thick clouds and deep blackness. Suddenly, like the dawn spreading across the mountains, a great and mighty army appears, and nothing like it has ever been seen before or will ever be seen again. Fire burns in front and flames follow after them, and ahead of them the land lies as beautiful as the Garden of Eden, and behind them nothing but desolation. Not one thing escapes. They look like horses. They charge forward like war horses. Look at them as they leap along the mountaintops. Listen to the noise they make, like the rumbling of chariots, like the roar of fire sweeping across the field of stubble, like a mighty army moving into battle. Fear grips all the people. Every face grows pale with terror. The attackers march like warriors. They scale the walls like soldiers. Straight forward they march, never breaking rank, never jostling each other. Each moves in exactly the right position. They break through defenses without missing a step. They swarm over the city and run along its walls. They enter into the houses, climbing like thieves through the windows. The earth quakes as they advance, and the heavens tremble, and the sun and the moon grow dark, and the stars no longer shine. Can you see it? I mean, that's like, it's already happening and happening to every window and every home. Sweet Jesus. But then it says in verse 11, Joel 2:11, the Lord is at the head of the column. He leads them with a shout. This is his mighty army, and they follow his orders. The day of the Lord is an awesome, terrible thing. Who can possibly survive? That is why the Lord says, turn to me now while there is time. Give me your hearts. Come with fasting and weeping and mourning. Don't tear your clothes in your grief, but tear your hearts instead. Return to the Lord your God, for he is merciful and compassionate, slow to get angry and filled with unfailing love. He is eager to relent and not punish. Who knows? Perhaps he will give you a reprieve, sending you a blessing instead of his curse. Perhaps you will be able to offer grain and wine to the Lord your God as before. Guys, the Lord is at the head of this enemy army that is coming through. This is his gig. And so whenever I read about the consequences before in Leviticus 26, and he says, I'm gonna turn my hostility against you. I'm like, he is not playing. He is not playing, y'all. We think we can do whatever we want to. We can't. This is God's thing. He gives us this chance, this time on earth to make choices that will last forever. And right now, he's trying to turn hearts like water towards him because we are making wrong choices. Okay, I want to tell you exactly what he's doing so that you can understand, because he's using these spirits. Y'all, sin is spiritual. When we allow it in our heart, there's a spirit of offense, the spirit of mockery, the spirit of greed and pride and covetousness. There's a spirit of jealousy, a spirit of hatred, a spirit of all of these things that are there that are consuming us. And so the Lord wants you to know, though, that he wants to come and fight these spirits. Those are his enemies, not people. People are... It's what he places his affection on is people. And it's like the lies that we are believing is causing the enemy to come in and do whatever he wants to do because he can, I guess. I don't know. I wanted to get to the one where it says, talk about the Assyrian army and what the Lord is doing, because I need for you to understand what he does. He does it with us. He does it with everybody. Let me tell you something. If you think you're going to go in and then you're going to steal from somebody, or you're going to move boundaries, or you're going to go in and you're going to in any way curse anybody in any way, do you know what you're doing? You're digging a ditch for yourself to fall in. Did you know that whatever you do for others, it's a cup that's going to be poured out on you? And so if you choose to do what is right and just and fair and true, treating others like you would want to be treated, then the Lord your God is able to do that for you. If you choose not to, then what's going to happen is that the God of heaven's armies then uses you to do whatever punishment he wants to do on others. And then he's going to come punish you. Listen to what he says about Assyria. Now, Assyria is probably a real place, but it's also a spirit. What sorrow awaits Assyria, the rod of my anger? I use it as a club to express my anger. I'm sending Assyria against a godless nation, against a people with whom I'm angry. Assyria will plunder them, trampling them like dirt beneath its feet. But the king of Assyria does not understand that he is my tool. His mind does not work that way. His plan is simply to destroy, to cut down nation after nation. And he will say, each of my princes will soon be a king. We destroyed Calno just as we did some other name. And we destroyed Samaria as we did Damascus. We have finished off many a kingdom whose gods were greater than those in Jerusalem and Samaria. So we will defeat Jerusalem and her gods, just as we destroyed Samaria with hers. He's coming against God's people, After the Lord has used the king of Assyria to accomplish his purposes on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem, that's us, he will turn against the king of Assyria and punish him, for he is proud and arrogant, and he boasts. By my own powerful arm, I have done this. With my own shrewd wisdom, I planned it. I have broken down the defenses of nations and carried off their treasures. I have knocked down their kings like a bull. I've robbed their nests of riches and gathered kingdoms as a farmer gathers eggs. No one can even flap a wing against me or utter a peep of protest. But can the axe boast greater power than the person who uses it? Is the saw greater than the person who saws? Can a rod strike unless a hand moves it? Can a wooden cane walk by itself? Therefore the Lord of heaven's armies will send a plague among Assyria's proud troops. A flaming fire will consume its glory. The Lord, the light of Israel, will be a fire, and the Holy One will be a flame, and he will devour the thorns and briars with fire, burning up the enemy in a single night. Guys, God is at the head of the enemy army, and he uses him to do just exactly what he wants to do. Do you know what he's wanting to do? He's wanting to turn hearts like water back to him. And so this is what he says. He disciplines those that he loves. You know, take every hardship as discipline from me because I love you. And you know what I want to do? I want to come in. And the things that are happening right now that are causing such stress, and the cup of God's wrath is being poured out on the earth right now. You can feel it in the stress, the intensity of what's going on in the hearts of people. But the same thing that is going to bring judgment on the world is going to bring things to the surface in God's people to be healed. That is his plan. Healing. He's come to heal the brokenhearted, to set at liberty those who are bound, to open blind eyes and deaf ears, to comfort those who mourn, and to give beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, and a garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that we may all be plantings of the Lord for his glory, that we will raise up the old desolate places, the desolations of many generations. Guys, God has a big plan, and his plan is going to use the enemy army, those spirits that are against us, to come in and do whatever he needs to do to get us where we need to be. And then he's going to show himself strong. His plan from the very beginning was this: to use the church, that's us, to display his many-faceted wisdoms to the principalities and powers and rulers in the heavenly realms. That was his plan all along. He's going to use us, and he's going to be glorified. And so let's get on board with this. God's in control. Bye.